Here we are in Capitol Gallery in Frankfort, Kentucky with Kathleen Kelly for her 9th annual exhibition of watercolors and color aquatint etchings. She lives in Arlington, Virginia and has her studio there, but comes to Kentucky and has come for the last 10 years. A lot of her work reflects our area here, as well as other places that she's traveled and other subjects that she's handled. We're glad to have you. With the new group of works, the watercolors particularly, the oversized watercolors of zinnias on wonderful paper. They're exuberant, they're alive, and definitely rowdy, which is their name, the Rowdy Zinnias. Glad you're here again.
Oh, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be back in Frankfurt, back here, staying at Patty's Bread and Breakfast. It's wonderful. They're going to do a body search and the car search whenever I leave, I know. But we're here in front of the watercolors, and we'll start off with those. Those are the very newest things that I've been done, and I know that everyone here who's been following my work will be surprised. But I want to say that it's wonderful what you can do when you get your medication straightened out. And no, all right. But anyway, that's just a terrible in-joke here. But for all of us who are taking care of our mothers especially. But anyway.
The scale of these is so unusual.
Yes.
Going from the smaller prints or etchings and aquatints, the scale of these watercolors I think is exceptional.
Well, I'm a miniaturist at heart. All the aquatints are small. Part of that is because the process is so difficult that it's rare to find an etching large. And these are, even though they are so big, and especially big for me, they are miniatures blown up. I think of them in like bee's eye view of zooming in on them. You're getting in close and looking at a lot of things, but it's big. They had to be big. I did the first drawing and on a 22 by 30 sheet of paper, and I had maybe 9 zinnias locking across there. The second drawing, I had 7, and it was filling up the page. By the time I got to the third drawing, I couldn't keep one zinnia on the page. The drawings took over, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I drew without any preliminary sketching.
Do you feel like they're abstract?
They are definitely abstracts. They seem to be realistic, but I was interested in the shape of them, the way the colors turn, the way planes and angles went back and came forward, and handling the color, handling the lights and darks, and making the shapes manipulate, or actually the shapes made me manipulate them in space on the paper. And that's why I called them Rowdy Zinnias, because they feel like they're coming out and just jumping out at you. So, and the colors are colors that are there. I started them in the end of January, the 1st of February, because I hate winter. I've never really gotten used to being somewhere where there's a lot of snow and ice, and I get terribly depressed usually in winter and want to go back to Hawaii, where I met Ellen 20 years ago when we were both painters and lived around the corner from each other and used to go out and paint together. So anyway, I think I want to do wonderful warm things in the winter, and I usually go down to the florist and get flowers, or I go to the conservatory and paint orchids. This year, though, I was in my studio and going through my photo files, because I've got just thousands of photographs that I've taken for reference whenever I'm working on illustrations or things. And I came across this whole bunch of zinnia photographs that I had taken of flowers that I had grown myself. The photographs were really good. I like to work from life, but I have done these flowers a lot because every summer I paint them. But this year, something struck me differently about them, and I started doing the drawings and the watercolors, and they took over. They fought to come out, and every day that I was in the studio, I did one. And wouldn't let myself go home, or actually I had to make myself go home after I had done one, because you can't stay at work all that time.
Do you finish it in one sitting then, in one day?
They have to be finished in one day. The little ones take as much time as the big ones, which is surprising. You would think that the big ones would take 2 or 3 times as long, but I have to be so much more careful, and it's just as much work to do the small ones, maybe more, because you have a lot more room to play around around on a big sheet of paper and experiment when you're drawing just fresh, bang, bang, bang. So, you know, there's no savings in time or effort on the small ones, but other artists asked me to do the small ones because they wanted them and they couldn't afford the big ones, and I couldn't afford to trade the big ones either. So I started doing the little ones after I'd done 30 big ones.
You told me a funny story about they all have names. And looking at this one,
Yes,
can
they're
you
the whole,
tell a little bit
oh,
about
they all can, yes.
having names?
Now, this one is a real star, and this is Mavis. Mavis has these little purpley tips, dark blue out on the edge, and I think I must have thought of it because of mauve. I use so much permanent magenta and mauve in on that. This one is named Gladys, and it's for a friend of mine who has a sort of a pink personality. This one is named Fred, and it's for somebody I know, and this seems like his personality. He's really cheerful and straightforward. I have a friend named Bill who is very brisk and energetic and charging around, and this seemed like that the orange really was very hot and hasty. So I've worked on them so much that they all have their own little personalities when I'm doing them, and I'm thinking, oh, well, here we are. Now today we'll do one, and who will we put together today?
So they reappear in other
They are the cast of characters. That's like a repertory company. These are the ones that I'm working with, and each one there's no limit to what I can find wonderful in each one. I turn them different ways. Sometimes I'll change their colors, or I have them taken from the photos from so many different angles that I can work on them from different ways, and I like that, and I'll put them together and recombine them and change them, and it's just terrific.
I particularly like the reverse side.
Yes.
When this contrast of this pale side is against the dark, luscious color.
Well, you can tell that I love that too, because I've kept working through them, and I've looked for them. And in fact, next maybe I think I'll start doing a series of aqua tints showing the reverse and the bright colors, because there's always more to do.
How important is your drawing, which is quite wonderful when you look at it through the color. The drawing could stand by itself. So how important is that to the painting?
The drawing is everything. I mean, the color is everything. The drawing is everything. The first thing, though, even before the drawing, was I had to have in my mind the grasp of exactly how the structure went. And that's why I think that they get better and better, because every time I'm feeling more secure and I look every time. I can't do it from memory. I have to analyze what's happening here, what's coming forward, what's going back, what's turning this way. I've always loved to draw, and I always got into a lot of trouble when I was a kid from drawing. Because I drew when I should have been doing other things, but it trains your eye. It's essential. I draw every day, and not always wonderful things, though they seem wonderful, or I wouldn't draw them, but I draw the backs of chairs with clothes hanging on them, or my shoes, or pots and pans piled up in the kitchen, or the magazines on the stack on the table, or the cats lying upside down, though the cats always wake up and walk off before you get the drawing done.
How long do you expect this run of Rowdy Zinnias to last? Because I know you're not through.
I don't feel like I'm through, but I don't know. You know, I guess until I get derailed off into something else. But it's wonderful to do. I love them. I still feel like I want to do more, but I don't know. There's so many things that I've started in years past, and maybe I'll get stopped for some reason or other, either ill health or other projects, or I'll get hired to do a job that I have to work on full-time to finish that, and I can't, go back to it. So, but I always try. So.
Well.
I did do a picture of a train going through the downtown. I always thought that was wonderful.
Oh, I think you definitely do.
Well, I'll get a chance.
Now we'll just ring a half.
This is a color aqua tint. That's what I've been very well known for, and I've done it full-time for 10 years, working in that medium. The image is of Ellen Glasgow's house over on 4th Street. I only do things that I have a real emotional commitment to. It's all Dear Diary time on my work. And I loved Ellen's house. I like old houses. That's why I do so many architectural things. And Frankfurt is a gold mine for an artist that likes houses that are wonderful to look at. The process is madly complicated. Everyone always asks me about it, how to explain it simply, and there's no simple way, but I'll try. It is an etching. I work on zinc plates. There are 3 plates. One of them is a key plate. I put my drawing on it and etch it through. And then I clean it off, stop, ink it, and print it, and offset that line printing onto the next plate. Then I repeat the process with the 3rd plate. So that way I have 3 plates with the same, hopefully, line drawing lined up all bang, 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 one after the other. Usually the key plate is the one that I'm going to print in blue. It has the line on it. I'm more interested in shape and color and light than I am in line, so I often suppress that line as much as I can for an etching. Etching is a linear medium, but these are almost all toned ground. There's very little line on them. I do the color separations intuitively in my head. That's what the color photography is done by the use of filters on the image to separate out the red, yellow, and blue. It's the basic kindergarten color theory carried to extremes. But when I print them, the colors overlap, the red, yellow, and blue, and give me all the oranges, the purples, the greens, and all those beautiful little melting shades that I love so much that go in between. It's a very soft look and very fuzzy. I used to worry because I wanted my work to look very hard-edged and distinct, but I finally gave up because I thought, well, you are a soft kind of person and your work is going to be soft-looking, and it is. This image is my house in Arlington, Virginia. It's a 1920 Sears bungalow. So whenever I bought my own house, I went on out and I got everything that I always wanted in a house. It was in terrible shape and it had no garden. I've been working on it constantly for 4 years. The hollyhocks are as I wish they would be, and could be maybe if the slugs or something would stop eating them and they'd get taller. Last year they were wonderful though. This year they're a little slow. This one is a scene on Mount Desert Island, Maine. It's my son is the figure that's walking on the beach. And it's all Dear Diary. Technically, it was extremely difficult to make the plates and to print it. Anything that's got a lot of snow is just awful, which is one reason why I haven't done so many snow scenes, but I love the thing.
This kind of winds up our show in Capitol Gallery. Liz Taylor of Poor Richards came in to see it yesterday, and her analogy was quite wonderful, that it's like stepping into an air-conditioned room from a 95-degree street. The watercolors and the etchings are some of the best work I've ever seen you do. We're glad you came.
I feel that way too.
And we can't wait for next year.
Yep, me too.
The show will be up until the end of June, and we look forward to having it every day.
I'm starting tomorrow on next year's show.
Good.